Howdy-ho, everybody. Come to you cordless. It's Thursday night, October 17th, 2024. It's 9 p.m. on the East Coast of the United States, 6 p.m. on the West Coast, 9 a.m. in Singapore, and noon in Sydney, Australia. And I am Jim Peters, and welcome to another edition of Jim Peters at Night. This is episode number 166, if you're keeping score at home. So do I have a treat for you guys tonight? Now, you may not think this is a treat, but it is. My guest is my mother, Mama Peters. She's 100 years old. She just turned 100 years old about, 6 weeks ago? And she's going to give us her thoughts. and trust me, she has a few. So, we take Fridays off here. We've been doing that forever. Got a new starting time, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central. Monday night, our guest is Larry Newman. Larry's one of our regular panelists on the Month in Review panel. Larry he was the head of the Missouri. I don't know if he still is. I got to ask him about that because I can't remember. I think he's the head of the Missouri Bail Bondsman Association. He's a professional bail bondsman. He's a former police investigator, and he's also an official investigator for the Bigfoot Field Research Organization, which is basically the Bigfoot version of MUFON in the United States. They investigate Bigfoot, and so they asked Larry to do this because he was a police investigator, and they wanted somebody who knew something about investigation protocol and chain of custody and all this sort of rot. And Larry said yes, even though he wasn't particularly interested in the subject and was highly skeptical about Bigfoot. He didn't really believe in Bigfoot, but he thought, I'll do this. It's an investigation thing, and that's his thing. So he did it. And about a year into it, according to him, I mean, he can really relay this story again on Monday, but according to him, he's in the woods in the Ozarks in Missouri. It's pitch dark, pitch black, and he watched for an hour. He watched a family of Bigfoot through an infrared camera. And he said if you took your eyes off the camera, you couldn't see them because you couldn't see anything. He said it was pitch dark. You could not see your hand in front of your face. But he said and of course, infrared cameras record via heat rather than light. So that's how come they work in the complete darkness. And he said, yeah, he watched this family Bigfoot. He said it was plainly obvious that it was Bigfoot. It was not humans. He said it was plainly Mama Bigfoot, Papa Bigfoot, and little baby Bigfoot. And they're walking around, and they got a little campsite, and he watched them for an hour. And he said after that, he realized, well, Bigfoot's real. So we're going to talk to Larry about that on Monday. Now, I don't know who the guest is going to be yet on Tuesday. We're taking Wednesday off, regardless, because I got some personal stuff I got to take care of. So that's what we're doing here. So if you're wondering, are you wondering about me? Yeah. What about me? Okay, I'll tell you about me. First of all, the weather here is particularly nice for October. It's in the 70s. That's cool. I woke up at 4:30 in the morning today after being asleep for only 2 hours. And my wife says there's a problem with the car, and she has to go on a very long road trip for work. And which I go get the tires checked, and of course I did because I'm a wuss, and I love her. There's that too. Love makes me do that, and I've been messed up all day today. I'm usually, even if I'm tired, when the little British lady at BlogTalkRadio says show goes on in 5 seconds, usually I perk right up. It's performers adrenaline, it works. I don't know, not tonight. Tonight I'm just dragging. So anyway, that's my story. I'm sticking to it. So we're gonna have Mama Peters will be on in just a moment, and look what I got here. I got commercials from Hong Kong News. Here you go. Hi all, I want to talk to you about Conk News. You've probably heard me talk about this before, but if you're a news junkie, you should try this out. Conk News is a news aggregator. Now, there are plenty of news aggregators on the web, but Conk News is different than all the rest, and here's how. Most other news aggregators will lump the top stories from each news source under that news source. The top 10 stories, like, for example, from Fox News, Breitbart, the New York Post, etc. What Conk News does is it sends its servers out onto the web to over 75 different news sources every 3 hours. And yes, this is an automated process. but in this case, that's actually a good thing, and collects the latest stories from said 75 sources and then lays them out on its own front page in the order they were posted, regardless of the source. So you see the latest stories at the top of the front page, regardless of where they're from. And this is all free to you. You don't need to log in. You don't need to subscribe, register, nothing. It's completely free. All you have to do is go to conk.com to check it out. That's conk.com, 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 Conk News. Hey, Mama, are you there?
I'm here.
Yes, it's you, isn't it? Do you like the creepy music?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
You know, I like everything you do, Joe.
Oh, yeah, I know. I know. That's the problem, isn't it? So, Mom, you had your 100th birthday a couple weeks ago.
Yes.
Yeah. What did that feel?
100.
What did that feel like?
I never thought I'm gonna make 100, but I did.
Yeah, but Mom, longevity runs in your family. Your mother lived 104, and she was healthy until like 2 weeks before she passed away. You know. So
I know, but it's too long. I don't like to live another 3 years.
Yeah, but you got something coming up in January. You got one of your grandkids is going to have a child. You're going to be a great grandmother for this.
I'm so happy about that.
I know.
I never thought I'd make it to see a grandchild.
Yeah, well, I know most people don't.
If I die tonight, I'll be very happy. I know I'm going to have 4th generation.
Yeah, but I have the strange feeling you're not going to die tonight. I don't know why. I don't think it's going to happen.
That's a saying,
Yeah.
You just say that. I just say
I know.
that.
I know that, Mama.
I'm okay. I'm not sick or something. So
no, you're not.
Fine.
No, and you're still with it. You're still kosher, and you're still thinking, and you're still walking around, and so after living. All right. So my father died. Your husband died in 1989, 35 years ago, and you've been living on your own ever since. Except right after your birthday, just a couple weeks ago, you decided to move into an assisted living facility, and that surprised a few people because you've been living on your own the entire time.
Well, until I did everything myself until 6 weeks ago.
Yeah.
2 months ago in July.
Right.
I did my cooking. I did my shopping. I did everything.
Yeah, I know.
Washing and I'm so glad. Thank God to America to have what I've got today.
Yeah, well, they're treating you like a queen there.
From New York.
They're treating you like a queen there. You're a queen.
I like everything being here.
Yeah, it's good.
I say, Jim, people, they don't realize what we have, old people, what they've got nowadays. First of all, the walkers, they help. Until I was on my own, I used to take the walker and walk to the grocery store and bring my groceries home until 2 months ago.
Yeah.
Years ago, old people didn't have things like that.
No, that's true. Modern life is an amazing thing,
So many things. Now I'm here, they do everything for me.
Mama, let's talk about your colon cancer, which you had when you had an operation when you were 86, right? Am I right about that?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
So that was about 14 years ago, and
14 years ago.
So this is the funny part, Mom. Your surgeon says you have to have you have colon cancer. We have to operate on you, and you said, "I'm 86 years old. We don't have to do that." And he said, "No, nada. We're gonna do it because you got another good 20 years left." He was right.
He looked at myself so good.
I know. He said,
and I thought I was old, 86 years old.
I know. You got overruled. Oh man.
Well, I guess. Listen, Jim. I guess all my life I think I had God with me. The reason, even when I came here, God was with me. He helped me through my life, pushing me. He put things in my brain sometimes. Like when I decided to come here, I told my folks, your father came, and my father said they're looking for a woman. And I said to my mother and father, about me, I never thought I'm going to come to America.
And you were what,
Like
20?
somebody did that to my brain.
Mom, you were 29 or 30? Is that right?
I was 30.
You were
yes.
30, right? Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I actually put this in the billboard description for the show tonight, Mom, about the fact that you married my father and you guys didn't even have a common language. You couldn't even talk to each other.
No,
Yeah.
especially when I came here, I couldn't speak non-English at all. I couldn't speak to you.
Yeah. But Mom,
But
we
hey,
need
we made it 35 years together.
yeah. I want to point out too.
I had my kids, and then the television helped me, bought me a television that time.
Yes.
And people say, how you learn English? They didn't have no school to go to learn the language that time. It was after the war. So I say, like, you go first grade in school, the teacher had a board and said, this is an apple. I look on television, a car, a door. You put things together every day so you learn the language.
Yeah, Mom.
I know I'm not perfect. I know I've got my dialect too, But at the same time, I've got four other languages there mixed.
Well, right. That's what I was going to say, Mom. We should point out to the folks you always had a facility with language. You speak 7 languages, and your goal, your ambition when you were a young woman is you wanted to be an interpreter at the UN. That's what you wanted to do, and you could have easily done that. You still speak 7 languages, so you didn't know English, but you had a propensity for learning language, so it came relatively easy for you. I want to, I wouldn't say it's easy, but yeah.
I know how to deal with that.
Right. Right.
So, yeah.
And also,
then you kids started to go to school, used to come home, Mom, how you spell this? Let's take the dictionary. So I learned with you.
Yeah.
In the newspaper, I started to do the puzzles. They used to have a newspaper, and I did that. And when you do the puzzle, you look to the dictionary for one word, you find 3, 4, 5 words.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And that helped me very much.
You talk about, learning English from the television. We should point out that my father, even though he was notoriously cheap, in 1955, he spent a really good chunk of change on a television for you. I mean, that was not cheap.
Yeah,
there weren't many people. Well, you've always said you were the first people on the block that had a TV in 1955. It's hard to believe.
You know what else he bought me too?
What?
A sewing machine with the legs.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So that kept me busy too.
Right.
So to make clothes for you and your kids, because I came in January, you were born in October. So then I started to sew things and everything. That kept me really busy.
Mom, what do you think about the fact that people don't do that anymore? No one, sewing's kind of fallen by the wayside. I don't know if that's a good thing or, Americans.
You know what? I've been 2 places with old people, especially old people. I see here, this is my new place. They don't do nothing.
Yeah, I know, Mom.
And then they complain. I still want to crochet. I just don't just sit. I want to walk. I get out. Then nobody walks. I get out. They walk outside.
Yeah, I know, Mom. I know.
You gotta move.
Yeah, and people don't. This is what me and my buddies talk about this all the time, Mom, about the fact like when I was in grade school, that was like 50 years ago. When I was in grade school, there was always only one fat kid in the entire school, and we made merciless fun of him. And from what I understand, this was true all over the country. There were very few fat children. Now the majority of kids are way overweight, and I just find this just unbelievable. It's like I guess nobody's doing anything. I don't know.
They don't work. I came from a country, I don't know, maybe now it's changed. I believe they've got cars in here. But years ago now, even until I got married back home, we didn't have no cars, was no, no word, I can walk, I can go there. You have to go. If you want to eat, you go grocery shop.
Yeah.
If you want to go to the bank, you've got to walk. If you go to church, everything is walk. So that's all it was.
Right. And
So we walked all
and
the time.
the other thing is nobody
And
cooks.
we didn't have we had a cobblestones all over. We didn't have these nice streets and sidewalks like they've got them here.
Yeah.
Everything was, I remember with the high heel walking on the cobblestone, you jump from one stone to another.
Yeah. I've never worn the high heels, so I don't really know about that. But
No, you don't know, but I know.
Hey, Mom,
So,
do you think life's gotten too easy? Do you think life
very
is
easy?
Do you think that's the
Very
problem?
easy.
Is that the problem?
Too many, I don't know. People, how can I say? I don't want to say it, but I always say Americans, they lost lots of young people during the war. But Americans home here, they never seen a war.
That's true. Yeah.
They take it for granted. Everything.
Yeah.
I was 4 or 5 years, and we had the Germans, we had the Russians, we had, you name it, we had Italians, we had over there, and all kind of stuff. And we didn't have no government either.
Well, yeah, right.
You were on your own.
Yeah.
Nobody to help you.
And I don't think Americans realize how much of a wreck Europe was.
That.
I mean, the war completely wrecked pretty much every city in Europe. It was just a mess.
Here now I go to eat. People, they complain because, this is too soft, this is too dry, I can eat it. I eat everything. It's food.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you don't have it, you're gonna starve. You're gonna die.
That's right. That's right.
I don't understand some things here too.
So, Mom,
I don't say that all the people are like that. There are some people that are okay, but most of them, I don't know. Most of them, they're spoiled kind of.
Well, you've talked about this before, and we've talked about this, and I talk about this on the show regularly about the fact that there's so many, like in your former apartment complex, there were so many older people who basically were estranged from their families. They didn't have anything to do with their families, and that's terrible. That's absolutely,
it's terrible.
It's awful. Yeah.
Right now, I'm new here. I go for lunch. It's a no level. I don't know if she doesn't even know if she's 1 year older than me or I am older than her. We eat on the same table. But she's got a problem with the arthritis, arm. She can hear, she can talk. You know what happened tonight?
What?
I was eating over there, and she was looking through her packets. And her hands are all arthritis, all bones and everything.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Nobody tried.
What was she looking through?
Huh?
What did you say?
Pockets. She was through her pockets. And finally, I get up and I went to her. I say, "You look." She can even hear. I went to her ear and I said, "You're looking for something." She said, "What did you say?" I said, you're looking for something. What you're looking?" And she said, "I look for a tissue paper." So I had my walker a little farther there. I had tissues in my walker. I give her the tissue.
Yeah, that's awfully nice of you.
Nobody else tried to help. Nothing. I can see her trying so hard. Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I don't understand.
But that's
I don't understand how people, lose track of their families.
Well, it's not just that. When I was at the other place, they're younger people. They could walk. They had problems. No parents come to see them. No, I don't understand the family.
Yeah.
you know. They don't come to see their family,
No,
nothing.
they don't. That's exactly what I'm talking about. They don't, you know.
Yeah.
There's literally,
So,
Mom, there's not enough love in the world. People should love each
but
other
you know
more.
what? This is so nice too, because thank God to the government, they can help some of those people to be in a nice place like that.
Yeah.
They can, they give them food. They've got a girl here. They take them to the table. They bring them back to room. They wash their clothes. They do lots of stuff. You know, thank God for the government.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
So,
but do you think, Mother, and I this is actually a real question. I'm not trying to, it's not rhetorical. Do you think that maybe because people know that the government will do that stuff, they do less themselves? I mean, do you think maybe it goes both ways? I don't really know. What do you think?
no, most of the people, they don't know, sort of.
Uh-huh.
They're because I had a little help from the government too. The county here is very good.
Yes, I know.
So they've got a nurses, they come, they visit you, and then they decide what you need, what you don't need, you know.
Yeah.
A few years ago, they didn't have that.
Yeah. You know, I had a real interest. I think I told you this. I had a real interesting discussion with the executive director of your new building. And
Yeah.
you know, I know you know this. They have a 2-tiered system for payment of rent, and that is if your income's above a certain level, you just pay whatever the rent is. If it's below a certain level, they basically kind of take all your Social Security and then they kick you back $100, right, or something like that, right?
Yes.
But
they give you $100.
right.
But then if you need a little more help, the county helps too.
Right. But the interesting thing is, and I find this really fascinating, the woman who runs your place said there's 6 people in the building who are over 100, including you. And she said the interesting thing about people who live that long is that no matter how rich they were during the prime of their life, nobody expects to live that long, so everybody runs out of money. It's
not that I'm out of money. You know, maybe all their life they try hard to live too.
Yeah.
Some people, they're not rich. Some people, and you know, I can remember it was so cheap when I came here 70 years ago. Everything was cheap. Everything goes up and up and up and up. I can tell in 2-3 years when I used to go shopping. First, when I used to go, I'll spend whatever I needed to buy groceries. It cost me $30.
Yeah.
After a while, after a year or two, it cost me $50.
I know, Mom. I do.
But
I do this.
usually, on your source, you know, you people you should watch because you are now on Social Security and everything. So everything goes up. You think you'll have enough, but maybe you're not going to have enough.
Yeah, but Mom, her point was
So
even the people that were wealthy ran out of money because nobody expects to live that long. That's what she said.
Yeah.
You know, which I find kind of interesting. Yeah. It's like, yeah, I suppose that's true. I mean, most people think, well, if you hit 90, you've had a good run, you know, but if you live over 100, well, then you're out of cash.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not out of cash because I still got $100 from my Social Security.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And or I'm here now, I don't need nothing else.
Right.
They cook for me, they wash for me. If I want to buy a little something, you know, to have. But if you want to buy lots of stuff, new clothes, and I don't need the new clothes. I've got so much clothes, I don't even wear them. What for?
And Mom, we should point out to the folks, you're not in a nursing home. You're in an assisted living apartment, which means you have your own unit, and it's actually very nice. It's actually, and not small.
Very. It couldn't be any better.
I know it couldn't. So they still give you 3 meals a day, and they still do your laundry, and they clean your apartment and all that sort of stuff.
They clean my apartment and everything.
It's pretty amazing.
They've got help, like I said, you need the help that you can walk. They bring you. There are people. They take them in a wheelchair. They take them to the dining room, and they take them back home again. They help. They help a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. So.
Very, very. People. I don't know. What's going on now, too, I don't like it. People, I don't know what they look for. They've got the best country in the world. And they, I don't understand what's going on.
Well, here's my theory, Mom. We've become so affluent and our society is so awash in money that we literally don't, we are so used to having everything catered to us that when even the least bit of things go wrong, people just like panic.
You know what? I love all the golden days movies because I came in the 50s, my 50s.
Yeah.
So they call them golden movies now, the best movies they have.
Yeah, right. The golden age of Hollywood,
I
right?
Watch them, and people they think, why do they want to come? They're talking. People they want to come to America. We don't need them here, no nothing. Why not? All the movies you see, all the old movies, they never show ordinary people. Very seldom. Everything is big homes.
Yeah.
Women, they get up in the morning, dress up, or they have somebody helping them dress up and everything. Well, who doesn't want to come and live here like that?
Mother, I just want to point out to you that we have pictures in the family. We have photos of you vacuuming in high heels and pearls. We have those. You did the same thing.
Yeah. So
it was very humorous.
Oh, I've got quite a few pictures, you know.
Oh, I know that. I know, Mom.
They dig up lots.
By the way, if you've just tuned in, we're talking to my 100-year-old mother in southern Minnesota, living in southern Minnesota. So, Mama Peters, we call her. So you're kind of become a local celebrity, and the local one of the Minneapolis television stations.
Hey, Jim, I did pretty good for myself too. I think.
Yeah. Oh, of course you have. Yeah. Yeah. So this guy named Boyd Hubert on the local NBC affiliate. He did these stories on you, 3 of them, and he won an Emmy for one of them, and he gave you the physical Emmy. Yeah. You have the Emmy. That's pretty cool, Mom. I don't have an Emmy. And I've been doing.
How many people they've got it?
No, not many.
I'm in the book. I was in the magazines. Because I do things. I love to do things.
Yeah. And
I can keep.
And this is public, so I can mention his name. Your surgeon Thomas Blee wrote a book about several of his patients, and you were the last chapter and the biggest one. And I actually I'm going to try to get Dr. Blee on the show. That's a fact. Besides the fact you're in the book, Mom, it's a fascinating book. It's a really good book. It really is. So, he
was writing for himself because. How the surgeons they feel on they do surgery, and he can save somebody and not to save somebody.
Yeah, yeah.
So he put that on me and some other people how he saved us and everything what happened.
Yeah, and you had quite a big tumor, Mom. That was it was the size of a football. It was unbelievable. And you're not very tall. I mean, you're not a big person.
No, people they think I'm a little kid.
No, I know. It's unbelievable. Now we have a picture of.
And the older I get, the shorter I get.
Oh, of course, it's happening to me too, Mom.
I was not like that.
I understand. I understand. We have a photo of you on the billboard for the show online. And I just want to point out to people that's a recent photo of you. I mean, you still look 20 years younger than you are, Mom, than you really are. You do.
Oh, I've heard that lots of people did say.
Yeah.
How you do it.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Well,
you gotta take care of yourself. What's good for you?
No, Mom.
No, but I don't care how good the doctors are. You gotta know your body.
So you don't think your mother was impregnated by the extraterrestrials? You don't think that? I gotta point out. I gotta point out that Mom and I are both Ancient Aliens fans. So you watch that show, Georgios Tsoukalos, man, that Greek guy. He gets a lot of women, Mama. Don't you think?
Okay.
Oh man. Okay.
Oh dude. Yeah. So.
Well, Mom, you have any?
What else you wanna know?
Well, that's pretty much it. Although I do want to mention too, and you should talk about this a little bit about the fact you hid for a summer. You hid in a false closet in Yugoslavia to keep away from the Nazis. That's not fun. Mama?
Tell me once more about Nazis.
I said you hid in a closet for a summer.
The Nazis, they're losing. Well, we had them for 4 years from 1940 until 1945 when they lost the war. So at the end, they're really bad because they know they're losing. They're looking for a woman and they're going from house to house. Fräulein, they wanted women. So they came to our house, me and my sister, we hid under the bed the first night. And then my father we had a built-in closet. So my father took a mattress, put it in the closet. So every night, and we slept up there until they left the 2-3 weeks.
Yeah.
And when we went to bed, used to put a blanket and their bed next to the door. So the Germans not to think was a place woman.
And you were about what, 20 roughly?
Yeah, I was about 45. I was 21.
You were 21 right at the end, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So
well, that's pleasant.
My sister was 18. You're young ladies, young girls.
Yeah.
So, that's another story. I mean, the war and everything. People, they don't know.
Well, that's the reason I brought it up, Mom. People don't know.
I don't understand lots of things.
They don't know.
What's going on right now.
That's okay, Mom. I don't either. I don't understand what's going on either. So,
yeah.
We're in the same boat.
Okay.
All right, Mom. I guess we're done. So I appreciate this.
Okay. I love you.
Oh, I love you too, Mama. You don't forget it. Always.
Have a good night.
Yeah. So I'm going to see you this weekend. You know that, right?
Okay. Oh, are you coming this weekend?
Yes, I am. Yes.
Okay.
So I'll talk to you soon.
Let me know what time.
I will.
Okay.
I will, Mama. All right. Thank you, Mama. I love you. Thanks for doing this. Appreciate it.
Yeah,
bye-bye.
That's okay. I'm glad to. Bye.
Good. That's Mama Peters. She's 100 years old. She lives in southern Minnesota. I'm not going to name the town. Right outside of the city. We're in Minneapolis, of course. Life and times, man. It's like, and the amazing thing is when you do what I do, you realize everybody has a story. Everybody. It's like unbelievable. And she's right. I don't really understand what's going on either. So, at any rate, here's more stuff coming up. Hi, all. Jim Peters again for Conk News. Let me tell you one of the greatest things about Conk News. It's free. It's completely and totally free. You don't need to register. You don't need to log in, subscribe, none of that stuff. Sure, they run a few ads on the front page, but if you're an old fogey like me, you might actually appreciate this because when you check out Conk News at conk.com, you'll probably notice that it's the closest thing to an old-fashioned hard copy newspaper that you'll find online. The latest up-to-the-minute news from 75 high-quality sources collected every 3 hours, all laid out with photos and headlines directly from the articles. And when you click on a story, you go directly to that story. No ad page, no interstitial page, none of that stuff. This is the way online news is meant to be. And did I mention that it's completely free? Seriously, how much of stuff in America is free now, right? That's of quality anyway. So check this out for yourself. It's at conk.com, CONK.com. Conk News. Part 2 of Jim Peters at Night. Hi, I'm Jim Peters. And that was my mother we talked to in the first half. She's 100 years old. And still with it. Will I be so lucky? No. You know why? Because I'm fat. That's why. It really bugs the crap out of me, too. I was quite athletic for the majority of my adult life. Not anymore. So if you want to call up and talk to me, 563-999-3435. Blog Talk Radio is working this evening. We're on the air. So yeah, and seriously, open top topic conversation. You can talk about anything you want. 563-999-3435. Or you can text me at 408-458-5088. I got a couple of things. Part two of the show, we kind of talk about weird stuff, the UFO stuff, all the just wacky stuff, non-political weird stuff. So NASA's decided. I just, I gotta admit, I don't know what to think of this. NASA's decided they have hired Prada, the clothes designer people, design new spacesuits, and they have done that. So they're trying to they say they're trying to bridge the gap between a high fashion and space exploration. I mean, what is the 2001 Space Odyssey? Is that what we're doing? I don't know. Do we need this? I don't know if we need this. You know, but yeah, that's what they're doing. I saw pictures of it. Although I gotta say, there's a picture. I saw a picture in this article. I didn't think this was anything to write home about. It was not the SpaceX spacesuits look way more futuristic than these. Way more. I would say fashionable too. I mean, it's obvious that Elon Musk and their crew spent some time thinking about this because these suits that they ride on the excuse me, on the SpaceX shuttles are really quite stunning. I don't know if you've seen them. They really are. And of course, that's the only way Americans get into space now anyway. It's unbelievable how people sometimes I think we have, there's great resentment toward people who are successful in our society. And maybe there always was, but social media has pointed that out way more than previously. It's like people, it's like some people can only succeed by knocking other people down. I don't know how you can say anything bad about Elon Musk. I mean, yeah, you can say something bad about his politics, of course, but the thing is, that's not what he's about. He's about doing stuff. We got a call. I'm going to take it. Hi, who's this? Oh, hey, Think, how you doing? Haven't heard from you in a while. Well, I'll tell you, it's like 90 is now the new 80. It seems to be. That seems to be that's the way this has worked. But 100 is still an outlier. I don't know if you caught the part in the interview where I was telling her the fact that the woman who runs her building says they have 6 people over 100 there, and she says about her experiences that no matter how much money you make during your life, everyone runs out of money by the time they're 100 because they don't expect to live that long. So I don't know if that's a good indicator what you're talking about. Yeah. Yes. Well, think that yes, it does, and that's an interesting question, and we kind of alluded to that in the conversation because I'm starting to think that maybe some of these people are living that long not because they had easy lives, but because they didn't. It's like there's something about building up resilience. I mean, I don't know if you caught the gist of my conversation with the mother, but I mean, her complaint, and I kind of mine too, is that life in some ways has gotten, especially in America, has gotten too easy. And I do wonder if people who have met adversity actually, whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger, that sort of thing. I mean, do you think so? Yeah. Yes, I do. So, people have brought this up about even professional sports players. Um, it's like, you work and work and work hard, college, high school, all that sort of stuff. And then you get to the pros, and then all of a sudden you're successful. And then they're giving you ridiculous amounts of money. And some people think that a lot of people just end up, they can't, they say, well, I'm successful now. I guess, it's in their mind, they're done, even though they still have to play. It's kind of a weird thing. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Do you have any predictions on the election? Yeah. R yeah. Yeah, Brett Baer, yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah. I would like to point out, though, I wanna point out the one difference between you were talking about the difference between Biden and Harris, and that Biden hid in the basement, but he didn't do anything. I mean, he just hid in the basement. She is like, you're right, is trying to like kind of do the same thing, except she still comes out of the basement and does these interviews, and every time she does it, she fails. So maybe that's the difference. I don't know. You know, and we'll find out. Yeah, right. Yeah. That's well put. Yeah, it's a group of friends. That's a good way to put it. Well, I do want to point out, remember, nobody really knows your real identity, so you can go to town. So it's like that's the reason we got rid of the video calling here. We realized nobody wanted their face on the screen, so it didn't work. But yeah, right. It's yeah. No, what? What? No, I haven't noticed that. I have not noticed that. Yeah, right. Well, I have to tell you, I know you're not the only person that thinks that. I know that. Uh, and the last, like in the this week, this is the fourth day this week. We were offline on Blog Talk Radio the last 3 nights. So the only thing I can think of is I don't. If they were going to ban us, I think they'd ban us like permanently. I don't understand why it would go up and down. But I mean, I know you're not the only person on Blog Talk Radio who thinks that. I know that. So I don't know what to make of it. That's my only thing here is that it seems to be right now, it seems to be kind of random, which means that they either don't know what they're doing or they're having technical problems. But I don't know why after so many years, all of a sudden the system would start screwing up. I don't understand that either. But I don't know what to make of it. I don't. I know there's a go, no, go ahead. Yeah, right. Yes, it is. Uh-huh. Yeah, that's correct. You're absolutely right. I mean, the problem right now is that, their website does not go down and the directory still works and all that sort of stuff. It's just that when for the show, we basically have to call in to connect and it doesn't work. That's what happens on our end. So I don't know. May I ask, do you host a show on Blog Talk Radio? Yeah, dox it, right. I know what it is. Yeah, I've never been on it. Yeah, but I know. Yeah. I don't blame you. I don't. And I know these things happen. This is not in your mind. I know that. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, oh no, you go ahead. Go ahead. Are so what specifically does this refer to? I know that when they were on the moon, there were secret transmissions. I know that. Is that what you're talking about? Yeah, they still do it. Yeah, they still do it. Yeah. Uh-huh. Go ahead. Yeah. Yes, I have. Yeah. Well, I've seen them in the past. I don't know where they are now, but I've seen them. And yeah, so what people are alleging, and apparently it's not an allegement, apparently it's actually true. So there still is a NASA channel. If you have like Comcast cable or like I have Hulu Live, that sort of thing, you can still watch it. And yeah, they do live transmissions from the ISS and all sorts of stuff like that. But what happened is that what was alleged is that people said anytime anything weird showed up on the screen, NASA would cut the feed. And they would always say that it was, a technical glitch or something like that, but it was very deliberate. It's like if there's something that on the screen that showed up that was odd, they just cut it out. They stopped broadcasting. And you're right, people have tapes of this, and it's very pronounced. And there are a lot of people think, well, yeah, anytime a UFO shows up, they cut the feed. That's what it is. And as far as I can tell, that's true. I don't think that's bullshit. I don't. Uh, so the thing I was referring to is that it's especially on Apollo 11, but it happened on all the Apollo missions, and that is when Armstrong and Aldrin landed on the moon. They had two transmission channels for the audio. There was the public channel, which is the main channel that NASA got at Mission Control, and they forwarded to the broadcast networks. And there was a private channel that ostensibly was for a medical channel. In other words, they were not going to broadcast. They said, "Well, we can't broadcast the astronaut's personal medical information. That's unethical." So this was a private channel, but they used it for private transmission, and supposedly, but there are people, I guess hundreds of people, who if you ran a ham radio kit you could turn into the private channel. You could actually get it. And there's people that said that when they were on the moon, they were talking about the fact that there was a whole bunch of UFOs parked on the rim of this crater watching them. That's what they were saying. So, and apparently, I mean, the thing is, okay, this sounds like conspiracy crap, but supposedly hundreds of people heard this. So I don't know. It's like, that's like that's a lot of people. Are they all lying? I don't think so. I don't. And the same thing with this feed thing you're talking about is that this is a regular occurrence. There's a UFO shows up on the screen and they cut the feed. So, now I don't know if you heard this too. There's people who said they've worked at NASA, and this is kind of hard to verify. So, but there's people who said they've worked at NASA and their actual job was to airbrush UFOs out of photos that were taken in space by astronauts. That's what they say. So, it's like, but there's so much of this going on. To me, it's like the whole thing about being in civil cases in court. It's on you're judged on the preponderance of evidence. There's a large amount of evidence that suggests this is happening and it's real. So I don't know what to tell you or the listeners or anything like that. But yeah, it's like I think there's some of this shit's going on. I really do. Right. No, there aren't. No, and they're definitely not outside of it either. Yeah. There's a lot of people that think Star Wars is you going? I'm sorry, go ahead. No, go ahead. I was gonna say that there's a lot of people who think Star Wars is going on outer space. I mean, supposedly Reagan had the SDI initiative in the 1980s. It was ostensibly to catch Russian missiles coming into the U.S. But people involved in this said that no, it was actually to stop an invasion from space by extraterrestrials. That's what people said. You know, and a lot of people who worked on this said this. So I don't know. Once again, there's a lot of people talking about this, and it's like, are they all lying? I don't know. You know, so, and not to mention the fact, so think, have you ever seen this video? And this is kind of innocuous because, and if I'm right, you can still find this on YouTube because the thing is, there's nothing really to see per se. There's a video of what looks like a comet or something coming around a corner on the camera, and I think this is a camera on the ISS, I think. And people think, well, what's the deal about that? But it's been pointed out by scientists have pointed out physicists that said, well, the only way you can make that turn is with powered flight. You'd have to have an engine on your vehicle to actually make this turn a certain way. It doesn't look pretty dramatic when you watch it, but they're saying, no, that's a spacecraft. It has to be because that's the only way you can do that. So, a lot of people said that's a smoking gun. There's a UFO right there. You got it. So, but like I said, you have to I don't even know how you find that, but I've seen it, and yeah, it looks pretty innocuous. There's nothing going on, really. You can't really see anything, but people who watch this have said, "No, that has to be a powered spacecraft. It couldn't be anything else." So, I don't know. A lot of questions. Well, that's really interesting. I have Jazz Shaw comes on this show regularly, and he's a UFO guy for Salem Media, and he writes for the Debrief, and he's basically a UFO researcher. And we've talked about this. There's two theories of thought on this. First of all, the government definitely knows UFOs are real. Now they've basically admitted it. They've all actually come out publicly and said we don't. The UFOs are real, but we don't know where they're from. Now, there's two schools of thought on this, and that is they're hiding the fact they know where they're from, what's going on. And then there's a lot of people thinking Jazz talks to people in the government all the time who say this too, that what scares them is that they don't know what's going on. They don't know where these things are from, and they don't know what they're doing and how they work, and they're scared crapless out of this because they can't address it. There's nothing they can do. So I don't really know. I mean, I've heard this both ways. My tendencies, my gut tells me they actually know more than what they're letting on, but I don't know. And then on top of that, the government's really siloed. So, like, you might have a group of people who actually know what's going on, and then you have a whole bunch of people that don't know what's going on and they don't communicate. So, I don't know about that either. You know? Well, that's an okay. This is an interesting question, and I will address this. I definitely believe in God for sure. I do not technically I do not consider myself a Christian, and I'm hesitant to say why because Jeff Meyer put me on the spot on this a few years ago. I was on his podcast, and he said he knew where it's coming from, but I don't really consider myself a Christian, even though I was raised one. But I very definitely believe in God for sure. And I don't and my question really is how much God interferes or has to do with our day-to-day lives. I don't really know about that, but to me, the proof that God exists is just the fact that we're talking. It's like I mean, people say, well, the Big Bang did that and evolution, all this sort of stuff. Yeah, but at some point, you trace this back far enough, and there has to be some divine spark somewhere. And also, there's Francis Crick, the guy who discovered DNA, and he's not the only person who said this. He said DNA is so complicated, it couldn't have happened by evolutionary chance. And I think that's probably true. I don't think it could. So, that's my answer there. That's kind of complex, but yeah, I do believe in God for sure. The Christian stuff I'm not sure about. I'm not. How about you? Yeah, right. Right. Yeah, right. But yeah, I was going to say that could be God. Yeah. Hey, think we got another phone call here, but I'm not going to get rid of you. I'm just going to put this person on, okay? Can you hold on a second? Thanks. Hi, who's this? Hello? Okay, so I have to ask you, first of all, how do you oh man, I lost my train of thought. It's awful. How do you determine that there's no free will? How did you determine that? Now, I know I was going to say I agree with you. Oh, what no, what I no, my what I was going to say is that it was kind of I asked you that kind of rhetorically because I know that scientists have now started to prove that there is no free will. They've done studies about fact people making decisions, and it turns out your body makes a decision before your brain does. That's what they've determined. And if that happens, well, we're all screwed. I mean, there's no free will. Yeah, I know. Yeah, right. All right, good point. Very good point. That's true. That's true. I don't know if you've ever heard this, but there's supposedly people who have there's a guy named what is his name? Michael Newton is his name. And I read his book. Well, he's written several books and he's passed now. So he has done regressive hypnotherapy on people who said they had past life experiences or people that had near death experiences. And so he came his conclusion was after doing this hundreds of times with hundreds of people that all the stories are basically the same. So the story is that people are reincarnated from one body into the next, and that basically you choose your parents. But the really amazing thing is he said this was a consistent theme. He said when people said, we're talking with the quote unquote elders or whatever, however you want to put it, in the heaven space or however you want to put that. Um, he said that your life was not. It was basically kind of sort of preordained, but it was a mixture of preordainment and chance, which is really. I mean, that's not. I don't know if that's free will or not, but that's a mess. you know that. Right. Well, hold it. First of all, I'm sorry. I didn't catch your name. What was your name again? Make one up. Okay, Joe. So here, hold it, just a second. I got the reason I brought up that whole story about Michael Newton is basically, I I totally agree with you, and it's a very the distinction between free will and choice is very subtle, but it's very very distinct. I mean, you're right about that. There's a difference between free will and choice, but it's very subtle, and I don't know if a lot of people would get it. So I kind of like yeah, yeah, right. Yeah. And yeah. Oh, hold it. Hold it. Joe, Think is still here. Go ahead, Think. Yeah. I totally agree with you. But I totally but well, yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say is that it's an incredible book, but that doesn't mean it was written by God. It doesn't. Does it? I mean, do you think so? I think I yeah. Yes, it does. Makes total sense. Right. We have another caller, and I'm going to ask Joe. Think I'm going to ask you guys. I'm going to put another person on here too. Okay. That's all right. You don't have to. It's like let's talk to us. Hello. How you doing? This is Michael from Singapore. Are you still in Singapore, Michael? Yeah, and we're starting earlier today. So what's the time there? It's about what is it, 9 a.m. or something? 10? Yeah, right. No, that's okay. Go ahead. You guys. Well, uh, Michael, and let me run something by all three of you guys. Is the problem that we're having here in this discussion? Are we confusing God and religion. You know what I mean? That's a subtle difference too, but it's definitely a difference, you know? I mean, it sounds like we all believe in God, but but we all have different opinions about quote unquote religion. That's what it sounds like. Am I right on this? Somebody jump in. Oh, okay. Right. But Joe, hold it. Just a second. You said you're an agnostic atheist, right? That's what you're okay. So now my meaning of from what I understand, the meaning of those words is agnostic means I don't really know, and atheist means I do know. So that's kind of sort of a contradiction, isn't it? Yeah, please do. But it's all right. So it seems to me that what you're saying is basically kind of the same thing I was talking about, and that is the fact you're not buying Christianity at all. You're not buying the religious aspect, but on the actual existence of a God that created the universe, you don't know. Is that what you're saying? Yeah. Yes, I'm not dis I'm not no, I'm not disagreeing with you on that. I mean, I have been I am one of I don't know if AI is going to kill off humanity like a lot of people think it is, but I know it's going to be some massive changes in humanity. I'm sure of that myself. But yeah. Did you ever see the movie? It's like from 1972, Colossus, the Forbin Project. You ever see that? Watch that if you ever get a chance. Yeah. Well, it's basically what you're talking about. Think is that yeah. I want to get back to. No, go ahead. Go ahead. What were you gonna say? Yeah, right. Yeah. Okay. Gentlemen, I want I want to get back to something that Joe said about AI, and here's my question, and that is, Joe, you're talking about sentience, and what I'm wondering is I don't know if this is a syntactic argument or if I'm actually wondering here. Is sentience the same as consciousness? I mean, can AI become sentient and still not be conscious? Or even if it's highly intelligent, does that mean it's sentient? Or maybe it's highly intelligent and it isn't sentient. I don't understand the how we throw these terms around. I don't understand exactly what they are. Yeah, we can hear you. You're talking about like an IQ number? Is that what you're talking about? Like, well, okay. The most intelligent person has an IQ of about 180. I think probably you at some point AI is going to hit 400. That's what I'd say, gentlemen. Yeah, that's better now. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Well, eventually, right, right, right. Yeah, yeah. Well, the other thing is, Joe, I mean, we're now talking on the cups of quantum computing, and that's going to blow this whole thing like 100 million times. Yeah, right. That's right. I mean, that's like, but this gets back to. So I'm talking. I had a guest on this show named Steve McIntosh. He's a philosopher, and he writes books about this sort of stuff. And one of his books called Inter, Integrated Consciousness. So his premise is we were talking about this very subject, and he said it's impossible. And this is where we're talking about the difference between sentience and consciousness. He said he thinks it's impossible for a machine to become conscious. simply because machines don't have souls. For that reason alone, they may be able to fake consciousness, but they won't really be conscious. But then the question is, well, if a machine can fake consciousness, isn't that enough? I mean, we probably got a lot of humans that are faking consciousness. I mean, yeah, yeah. Well, hold on. I'm gonna bring up the two best examples of what you're talking about. Think, and that is the two biggest leaps in science in the last 100 years were the theory of relativity and Tesla's concept of alternating current, and both of those things came out of fucking nowhere. There was no precedent or evolutionary thinking involved in either one of those concepts. And I don't so I mean that's what you're talking about can a machine actually jump from 0 to 100 in one leap? I don't know. I would say no. I mean you're talking about building a car. Well, building a car is kind of different because there's cars all over the place. But I have no still to this day, I look at alternating current and I don't understand how Tesla came up with it. It's completely non it's not it's counterintuitive. There's nothing in that concept. Well, it's not a theory anymore. There's nothing in that concept that says somebody should have thought of this. I mean, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Go ahead, Michael. Go ahead. That's my fear of this whole thing. And then in the short term, and I'm talking about the short term, the next 20 years, that AI is going to eliminate half of the employment in the United States. That's my yeah. You know what people do who don't have jobs? Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Joe. That is the very definition of AI, right? It learns by itself, right? Yes, that's a $64 million question right there. I think you're absolutely right. I don't know the answer to that, but I think you're right. That's the question. And you're right. If AI absorbs enough knowledge, and you're talking about a machine that has a possibility the, of absorbing basically all of human knowledge, at some point, doesn't it actually look at itself and say, "What am I?" And I don't. Yeah. Okay. Right. Yeah. Okay. Right. Yeah. Well, that was. I mean, if you go ahead, go ahead. Yeah, well, right. I was going to say I agree with you, Joe. Everything is evolutionary, right? That's the reason I brought those two. Well, the thing is, I would say some of us grow out of it, but I mean, yeah, yeah. Well, we kill them. Well, but all right. Gentlemen, I'm going to rewind this. I want to rewind this because I want to get back to the thing that Joe was talking about the fact that the difference between a sentient. Well, I'm paraphrasing here. A difference between a sentient being and a not a sentient computer is power. So, I mean, this is a standard uh, like BS example. But you look at 2001: A Space Odyssey, you have Hal, and Hal goes nuts, and Hal decides to kill all the astronauts because he has to protect himself. And so, Joe, the interesting thing about what you were talking about there is that Steve McIntosh was talking about this too. So you have a machine that has it doesn't need any food, it doesn't need any sex, it doesn't have any desires. Its only desire is to keep running. I mean, and so in that sense, its only real human-like desire is self-preservation, right? So you could probably do anything you wanted to the machine except try to turn it off, at which point it'd probably kill you. Well, Well, that's actually true. I agree with you. Right. Yeah. Well, yeah. There's another thing too, and this is the extension of what you're talking about, thinking that is, and this is a part where I'm a misogynistic bastard, but the vast majority of stuff humans have ever invented were invented by men to impress women. That's the that's right. Thank you. That's right. Yeah. Yes. That's correct. Thank you. Thanks for sticking up for me. I appreciate it. But no, it's really true. It's really true. The vast majority of stuff has been invented by men who are trying to impress women. That's either by indirectly by making more money, or whatever it is. But yeah, it's like no, that's and I'm getting back to what you're talking about. Think what you're talking about is about the fact that that's the difference between us and machine. Machines aren't trying to impress women or another gender or anything like that. They're just computing. But like I said, the only thing that you could really do that would, thwart that is try to turn them off. That's the only thing they would actually probably fight you on. But they have no other driving. Yes. Well, that gets back to the thing. There's very few things that aren't evolutionarily created. And the reason my examples were relatively an alternating current, which came out of nowhere. I mean, there's no evolutionary path to those things. But there's things like that are very rare. There actually are. Like automobiles came from horse buggies. I mean, you can trace that things back forever. I mean, but so yeah, but just the fact, I mean, you ever thought about how alternating current works? The fact that he thought of this, I mean, it's like, how would you think there's okay, so right. So the idea was you couldn't direct current doesn't translate well over distance, right? So he thinks, well, geez, if we alternated the direction of the current 60 times a second, it would travel a lot farther. That's how the fuck do you think of that? I mean, it's like what that doesn't make any sense even, but it worked. I mean, you know what I mean? That's the problem. It's not an evolutionary thought. Well, that's true. Okay. Well, gentlemen, I hate to do it. I have to we have to cut our conversation off because Blog Talk Radio is going to cut us off in about 5 minutes. So I no, if you can do it quick, go ahead. Okay, this is my answer to this, even though it's not a very good one. Now, I'm a musician and I've been involved in sound all my life. To me, that was an obvious step. I don't know why. I just think it was, and I don't. And maybe you're right. Maybe it's only obvious to me. I don't know. But I thought, because the idea was that, well, if you do it in one direction, if you reverse the process, the sound should play back. That's the whole concept, and he was right. It worked. You know, but I don't know. So maybe the problem with this whole argument that we're having here is that something that's obvious to one person isn't obvious to another. Like I said, I don't understand how Tesla thought of alternating current at all. I do not understand it, how could have come up with it. But yeah, then use that example, and well, that's kind of obvious to me. I don't know. I could have thought of that. It's like, so I don't know. Yes, right. That's correct. It did. you know? But then again, that's a fairly the concept of that is fairly basic. It's like we can find a filament that will actually, through the resistance of the current in the filament would actually create light. That was it was just a matter of finding the right thing. The concept's simple. The work is hard. Yeah. Michael, I'm sorry. I got to cut you guys off. I really appreciate you calling. We've had a great conversation here. This has been fantastic. Joe, thank you. Think already left. Michael, thank you. Appreciate it. Please call back. This was great. This was great. Thank you. We'll see you. That was a fantastic conversation. Holy Christ. That was good. That's the reason we do this, folks. So yeah, we got 4 minutes left here. So I'm going to wrap this up. No, three now. I'm going to wrap this up really quick. Uh, Monday we have Larry Newman coming on. He's the bail bondsman from Missouri, and he's also a Bigfoot investigator. We're going to talk to him about. He's on our month in review panel, just generally, so he always has opinions on a whole bunch of stuff. He's a really interesting guy, and we're off next Wednesday, and we'll have guests for the other 2 days too. I just got to figure out who they are. So I want to thank my mother again for joining us for the first half hour. Uh, she's a wonderful woman, and she's interesting. That's the reason I have her on the show, not because she's my mother, but at 100 years old, she's seen a lot of stuff. So I hope you guys have a good weekend. We don't do Fridays here, of course. We'll be back on Monday night, new time, 9 p.m. Eastern. And thanks for listening and watching. And thanks for you guys calling. Really appreciate it a lot. Good night, Esperanza. Good night, Uncle Donnie. And good night to you, wherever you are. I'll see you on Monday. Take care, everyone.